Welcome to lesson 4.2. Today we're going to be solving quadratic equations by graphing. Pause the video and get these written down before moving on. The first term is a quadratic equation, and that's a quadratic function that's set equal to a value. We have standard form of a quadratic equation, that's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not equal to 0 and a, b, c are all integers. So the main thing to worry about here is it's got to be equal to 0. So that is going to be huge for this section. Roots are solutions to a quadratic equation. Zeros are values that, when plugged into a quadratic function, give us a 0. And that's why they're called zeros. So first of all, zeros and roots are basically the same thing. Any value that is a 0 of the function is also a root of the equation. And the difference is there is what we're given. Are we given a function or are we given an equation? And that's going to be the difference between finding a 0 or a root. Zeros are found by plugging in values into a function and getting a 0 as an answer. Roots are found by setting the equation equal to 0 and then solving for x. So again, it just depends on the form that we're given, whether they're called roots or zeros. So the first thing we're going to be doing is finding the number of solutions that we could get. Now there's a few different ones that we could have, but we're going to use the calculator to do that. So we're going to type the equation into the calculator. We press the y equals button on the top left, and then we type our equation into y1. We make sure the viewing window is the standard window, and how to do that, we press zoom, and then option 6, Z standard. What that'll do is that'll give us x values from -10 to 10 and y values from -10 to 10. Hit graph on the top right, and then what you're looking for is the number of times the parabola touches the x-axis. If it touches twice, or it touches once, or it touches 0 times. So those are the only 2 or 3 options that we have. Okay, so there either can be 1 solution, or 0 solutions, 1 solution, or 2 solutions. So here's what each one of them look like. Okay, so if we have 2 solutions, you'll notice that the parabola touches the x-axis at 2 different spots. Okay, if you can see that on the graph, you'll know that there are 2 solutions. One solution is if the vertex is the only thing that touches the x-axis. And then no real solutions, you'll notice there that the graph does not touch the x-axis at all. Now we're going to go about finding the solution. So go ahead and pause the video and get all this written down before I go through it. So after we graph the line on the calculator, we're going to press second and trace. Then we're going to select option 2, which is 0. Okay, so what's going to happen then is the graph's going to come back up and you're going to see a cursor that's blinking that's on our parabola. And we have to find our solutions one at a time. So pick whichever one you want to find first, and then we're going to use the left and right arrows to line our cursor up as close as we can to that solution as possible, but we're not going to press enter, so just line it up. Once you have it lined up, on the bottom of the screen on the left side, you're going to see the question left bound. So what you're going to do is you're going to press the left arrow 3 times and hit enter. You'll notice that once you hit enter, in that same spot on the bottom left, you're going to see it changes to right bound. So now you're going to hit the right arrow 6 times and then hit enter again. And then on the bottom of the screen, on that left, you're going to see the word guess. Okay, you don't have to move it anywhere, just hit enter again, and then you're going to see that it lines it up with that solution, and the number that we want is the x value. So we're going to write the x value down as our solution, and you're going to repeat that for the second solution if there is one. So you either have to do it once or twice, depending on what type of graph you have. So now we're just going to go through some examples. First of all, we're going to do 2 real solutions. We're going to solve x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0 by graphing. So what we're going to do is on the calculator, we go y equals, and then in y1, we're going to type just this side in. Okay, we don't care about the equals 0. So just type this into your calculator. Make sure you've got the standard viewing window by using the zoom option 6. And what you should notice is the graph looks something like this. Okay, so that's roughly what it looks like. So you'll notice that we have 2 solutions that we're going to have to find. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the one on the left first. Okay, so we're gonna hit second trace, option 2. Okay, you'll notice that the cursor shows up right on the y-axis. So we're gonna go to the left to line it up as close as we can. And then before we hit enter, you'll see it says left bound. We go left 3 times and hit enter. Right 6 times and hit enter. And then hit enter again. And you're gonna notice that we get x is equal to -1 as our first solution. So then we're gonna do the same thing for our other solution. So again, second trace, option 2. We're going to go to the right now and line it up as close as we can without hitting enter. So now for our left bound, we're going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3, and hit enter. Right 6, hit enter. And when it says guess, we hit enter again, and we find that the other one is at x equals 4. So those are our 2 solutions. Our next example is a little bit different. You'll notice that we don't have it equal to 0, and we need it to. So we need to move this -12. Okay, and we can do that by adding 12 to both sides, giving us x squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. So now this is what's going to go into y1. So go ahead and type that into your calculator and hit graph. When you do, this is the graph that should show up on your screen. You'll notice again we've got 2 different solutions we're going to have to find. So again, we're going to start with the one on the left. So second trace, option 2. And we're going to have to go to the right this time to line it up with that one, because it'll always go onto the y-axis. So we'll have to go to the right to line it up. Then for our left bound, left 3 times, hit enter. Right 6 times, hit enter one more time, and I get that my first 0 is at x equals 2. To find the second one over here, second trace, option 2, line it up with the one on the right without hitting enter. Then we go left 3, right 6, hit enter again, and we get that x is 6. Go ahead and pause the video and solve this equation by graphing, and then hit play and see how you did. The graph on the right is what you should see when you hit graph on your calculator. The left 0 should be at -5, and the right 0 should be at 3. Now we're going to give some examples of one solution. So here we've got this equation. Again, we have to get it equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 6x to both sides and subtract 23. So it's going to look like -x squared plus 6x. 14 minus 23 should give me a -9. Okay, so this is what's going to go into our calculator. So our graph is the one on the right here. You'll notice that there's only one solution there. Okay, so if we do this right here, second trace, option 2, we line it up first, so we have to go to the right to line it up. It'll always show up on the y-axis. So line it up without hitting enter yet. Then go left 3 and hit enter, right 6 and hit enter, and then hit enter again for a guess. Depending on different calculators will give you different answers. Mine says 3.00000012. We're going to go ahead and round that to 3. So 3 is our only solution. We've got our second example here. Again, we need to get it equal to 0, so we're going to add 8x to both sides and add 11. So we're going to get x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So this is what we're going to type into our calculator. And when I do and I hit graph, this is the graph that'll show up. You'll notice I've got only one solution right here. So then I go second trace, option 2, 0. So again, since it starts on the x-axis, you'll notice we have to go to the left to line it up. So you might not see it on your screen, but if you know where the solution is, you know which way to go. So we line it up as close as we can. We go left 3, hit enter, right 6, hit enter, and we hit enter a third time. And again, depending on how they round it, I see negative 4.00002. We're going to say that that's negative 4. Go ahead and pause the video, solve this one on your own, and then hit play, see how you did. So the first thing you should have done is gotten a 0 on one side, so add 12x and subtract 48 from both sides. We should have gotten negative x squared plus 12x minus 36 equals 0. If you graph that on your calculator, you'll see that graph on the right. If you find the solution, mine said x is equal to 5.9999979. We're going to go ahead and round that to 6. Just so you can see what no real solution looked like, we'll give you one example here. We've got negative x squared plus 15x minus 63 equals 0. Okay, it's already equals 0, so we can go ahead and type this into our calculator. And when you do that, you should get this graph on the right here. You'll notice that this parabola only gets up to here. It does not reach the x-axis. So therefore, we have no solution. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like if we have no real solutions, and then no solution is what we would write on our paper.